Is airing South Park morally obligatory? Is South Park indispensable? Are we morally obligated to keep South Park on the air? Well, as much as it pains me to say it, no. All good things must come to an end, and eventually South Park will. But what we are morally bound to do in this regard is the following. First, we must ensure that when South Park goes off the air, it is because it won't be funny anymore, or because Matt and Trey simply don't want to do it anymore. It should not be pulled simply because a certain segment of the population finds it offensive. Matt and Trey should have freedom of speech, the freedom to say the things that people will find false, obscene, and even blasphemous. If you don't like what they say, then please don't watch it, but don't try to get it pulled off the air. Save the TV parenting for your kids. Secondly, what we are morally bound to do is keep shows like South Park that tackle the hard issues in a rigorous way, that aren't afraid of offending big people, that will always stand up for free speech, that aren't afraid of telling Rosie O'Donnell that just because she's on TV doesn't mean that she knows crap about the government. We need to keep those shows on the air. We need such shows to keep us on our toes, to challenge our intellect and assumptions, to make us think about the tough issues. And we certainly can never let such shows be forced off the air. Let me close with a great quote from a paper from one of my students. I'm teaching a class on South Park this semester. And in response to the question, does South Park corrupt us? He wrote, "One would be hard-pressed to identify an entertainment source as polarizing and controversial as South Park. The show is undeniably crude and obscene. It shamelessly depicts objectionable body functions, sex acts, and graphic violence, all within a hailstorm of foul language and racism. The show ruthlessly stereotypes Muslims, Jews, the Chinese, and homosexuals, subjecting the characters representing these groups to the worst kinds of physical, verbal, and emotional abuse, and frequently practices blasphemy. From a personal perspective, South Park certainly possesses elements that can corrupt those who watch the show superficially. However, an intelligent, deeper viewing experience leads to the realization that South Park is not corrupting. Rather, it is satirizing our own corruption as a society. It is collecting many of our shortcomings and social weaknesses, digesting them and regurgitating them in such an attention-grabbing way that it is virtually impossible to ignore its greater message. Society is flawed and corrupt. Rather than being a corruptive force, South Park is a spotlight that shines on the elements of our corrupt natures that must be changed." Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you very much.